10 things I would not do anymore as the secure best version of myself. Are you ready to exit your insecure era? Let's go. Let's walk through the 10 things I used to do myself I will no longer accept or engage in as a secure version of me. Each one of these is anchored in one of the 6 areas of transformation. First, emotional safety, self-esteem and confidence. 3, interdependency, assertive self-expression. 5, emotional mastery. And 6, inner peace. Hi, I'm Yula. Welcome to the Anxious to Secure podcast, and I'm so happy you're here with me today. Tell me this, are you tired of chasing breadcrumbs, pretending to be cool with casual, but deep down you're dying for deep emotional connection? Do you keep falling for the same emotionally unavailable types, knowing it's wrong, but feeling really powerless to stop this? Been there, done that. It's exhausting. It leaves you in survival mode 24/7. And let's be honest, life is too beautiful and too short to be just in survival mode all the time. So I used to do all of this, and it felt like I was betraying myself in the process. I was texting again after being ghosted, and I knew they were not into me. I was ignoring my needs because maybe he will change. Being in rescue mode all the time. Letting anxiety decide how worthy I was, how good enough I was, or constantly thinking everyone else was better than me and living in fear rather than in trust and regulation and safety, and staying for the potential versus instead of respecting the reality. If you can relate any of these, hey, welcome to the club. I get it. I used to overfunction, overgive, override my own red flags just to feel chosen, just to feel like a priority, just to feel like I matter. But now I've healed my anxious attachment style, and I'm still having a long way to go because healing is never like a final destination. You can always grow and evolve, but I'm feeling so much more secure than like 5 years ago, for example. I've anchored in my worth, and there's a version of me and of you that no longer puts herself last to feel loved, or have to chase, or to have to accept anything less than you deserve. But you don't become securely attached by accident. You become secure by deciding what you want to no longer be available for. Disclaimer, I'm not a therapist or doctor. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or heal any mental health condition. If you're in an abusive relationship or dealing with severe mental health challenges, always seek professional advice. I will give you 10 things I absolutely will no longer accept and do anymore as this secure and grounded and highest version of myself. Ready? Let's go. First, I won't chase emotionally unavailable people anymore. No matter if I ever be single again, through friendships, colleagues, no more still texting him back when there's inconsistency. Like with friends, I won't chase them anymore if I can see there's nothing coming back from them at all. No hoping he'll change or leave someone else for me, for example. Someone who has an anxious attachment style accepts any kind of breadcrumbs, and they also ignore a lot of boundaries from other people, meaning even if the men, let's say, are married, that is not a boundary they are stepping away from. If they're attached to someone, it doesn't matter if they're married or emotionally unavailable. This attachment is so strong that they're magnetically attracted to them, and it feels impossible to say no, because if you never give yourself love, warmth, consistency, all the things you kind of were missing from your childhood, and if someone gives this to you or flirts with you or gives you the emotional connection, you are attached to that person, no matter if they're married, no matter if they're traveling the world and there's no future for the two of you, no matter if this person is a red flag, you're still chasing that person, that feeling of what they're going to give you, because that is the emotionally unavailable pattern that you kind of experience as a kid. And that's why it's so hard. But I won't do this anymore, because now I've created the consistency within myself. And why does this shatter my self-esteem or self-worth if I will continue in this pattern? It's because it tells my brain I'm not worthy of someone fully available for me. That love equals waiting, fighting, begging, accepting anything less than what I deserve, like breadcrumbs that I only accept this kind of behavior. And as the secure me, I only accept clean energy, someone who gives in the same way as I give as well. And it's okay if you have different love languages in a relationship. For example, I used to think I wasn't getting the same energy from my partner because he was speaking in different love languages. But if you're open to see what is your partner actually giving you, you will realize, hey, you know what, my partner maybe doesn't give you the reassurance and words, but maybe they give it to you through actions. Maybe they're going to make you a cup of tea in the morning. So my tip is really be open for their love language to see what kind of energy they bring in the relationship. 2, I won't try to convince someone I'm worth it, because convincing is rooted in lack, and the secure me believes she's enough. So that's what she receives. What you believe, you receive. For example, what I won't do anymore is explaining my needs over and over again, sending long text messages and paragraphs, defending my feelings, keep asking for, do you even care about me? Do you still love me? Do you actually still see a future with me? Keep asking the same questions from a place of insecurity and anxiety and fear. Another example is staying after being told I don't want anything serious. If I ever would be single and someone tells you clearly they can't see anything long-term right now, they are not into anything serious, don't think, or maybe they change their mind. If someone tells you they are not looking for creating a family, they don't want kids, but you think, maybe they're going to change their mind because I really want kids, you're going to cut this off, because these are core values, these are core differences. The longer you're going to feed this pattern, the longer it's going to be difficult later to break this off. You're going to make yourself unhappy long term. Or trying to change myself to be more easygoing, casual, when I'm just a bit different, when I need to plan things in advance. When I was younger, it was always super cool to say, oh yeah, I'm easygoing, so spontaneous, I'm always so last minute, I'm up for everything. And I wasn't that girl. I hated to be spontaneous. And that is okay. Now I own up to the fact that I'm not someone who is like down for everything. I like to plan things. That is part of my anxious brain still, like, who wants to plan out things, who wants certainty. And I'm still up for like spontaneous things, but not as much as just to say, hey, I'm easygoing just to impress someone, just if that's actually not me. So why did I stop with this? Convincing someone makes me the pursuer of worth. That's very backwards. The secure me knows she's already valuable. I don't have to negotiate this with anyone. Okay, a few months ago, I was typing this very long paragraph to my friend who had been very like hot and cold for months with me. And I was, okay, this gives me the sign that like she doesn't really care about me. I'm the one who always has to engage and message first and ask if we should meet up. And I started to draft this third draft that kind of gave the vibe, here's why you should choose me kind of thing. And I was like, what am I doing? The right person wouldn't need all of this convincing. And I realized this message came from a place of anxiety and fear and me trying to chase them and wanting to be my friend. And I deleted the draft and put my phone away and just sent a very short message, very easy, very direct, very forward. And that small decision was my first step towards valuing myself more rather than their validation, detaching from the need that we have to be friends. And that made a huge difference ever since going forward, also with friendships, because I hit my anxious attachment style and worked a lot on my romantic relationship, but in truth, I haven't worked that much on my friendships as well. So that's a whole nother thing. 3, I won't ignore major value mismatches anymore. What I won't do anymore is saying, maybe I don't need kids when I actually really do. Maybe I don't want to get married yet if I actually want to get married. I would never settle for any vague situationships if I ever would be single. If that person doesn't commit, doesn't talk about long-term planning, I would be very direct, very forward, saying I'm not the one-night stand kind of girl. I know what I want and this is what I want. And if this person is scared off, great, we don't want to waste each other. I know people have been in situationships for weeks, months, and even years because they're afraid to cut it off or to say, hey, this is actually what I want. I want commitment. I want a relationship. I want a marriage and future. But they're afraid to say it because they're afraid of being abandoned, of pushing their person away. But isn't it better to push the person away so you can actually have more time to find your partner, find someone who actually wants you, wants to commit to you? So many people are just not committing. They're just in this limbo stage and don't just even go for it. If you are someone who doesn't want a situationship, who wants a long-term committed relationship, don't accept it. You are either in or out. You are the ones who are setting the boundaries and deciding what you want. You don't need that person if the person doesn't want you. And compromising core values fractures your identity, tells your brain, my needs don't matter. Long-term misalignment equals long-term self-abandonment. Secure love includes a shared vision. So I would never hope again for someone to grow into my dream partner. So many people always see the potential in the person rather than for what the person is. You already see right away when you start dating someone, when you meet someone, what they want, what they are not standing for, and usually they will show up more in their authentic self the more you get to know this person. So it only gets worse, never really better usually. If that person shows already some inconsistencies in texting or from the beginning, there will be even more inconsistent later on down the line. If they don't give you many words of affirmation, any compliments at the beginning when you're starting to date, they will do it even less. When you have a lot of conflict at the beginning of the dating stage, you will have even more. Because the dating stage is usually a stage where you're most inauthentic. You're trying to pretend, showing the best version of yourself, and later you're becoming more like relaxed and starting to argue more and triggering each other's core wounds. If you see problems already in the dating stage, it will get worse. Something I would not do anymore is also overthinking text, reading into what the other person said, how often they message, how often and quickly they call back, overthinking the thumbs up or the emojis or the words. And this is a waste of time and energy. And not only this reinforces your anxious patterns. The more you overthink, the more you will stay anxious, and it will reinforce these habits. For example, every time you feel emotional, you grab a bar of chocolate. This pattern will get reinforced over and over again. So the only solution is you will want to break this habit. So if you're obsessively checking your phone all the time, panicking when they don't reply, or worrying what they have texted, what they should have texted, I've got you covered. I've created the mini course, Stop Obsessing Over Text in 21 Days or Less, which is still available on beta round for just 27 euros. The mini course is only available for a limited time. This summer I will record everything, revamp it, upload everything new, and then the price will go up. So if your inner peace disappears the second they don't reply, your anxiety is the problem, not what they have said or what your partner does or thinks. You don't need another text from your partner. You don't need your partner to reply differently or more reassurance. What you need is tools to break your obsession with your partner and with your phone. Because otherwise you will reinforce these obsessive overthinking patterns. You will become more anxious, and your anxious attachment style gets more reinforced. You won't become the best version of yourself. So if you're interested, check the show note links or check the link below the YouTube video. Now let's go back to the episode. 4. I won't abandon my boundaries to keep someone else. Say goodbye to laughing off a mean joke that really hurt. That happened for me at work a couple of times when I used to have my 9-to-5 job. I also don't accept anyone yelling at me or raising their voice at me anymore. I want to let someone else in after blocking them for a good reason. I want to go to any events or parties if I don't feel like it, even if it's Christmas or any special event, because this is my boundary and I need to take care of myself first. And I wouldn't avoid conflict out of fear they would leave. That was a big one. I always used to avoid conflict, any kind of disagreement, just because I was scared deep down they would leave, they wouldn't like me anymore. And I realized conflict can be a sign of that you're able to communicate your challenges and you can actually grow from this. And the more you'll be able to communicate your disagreements and your challenges, the more you're able to come to one path together. So why is this so important? Crossing my boundaries to keep them means I abandon myself. My brain learns that I don't protect myself. Secure love, on the other hand, means being safe inside my own body. There was a time I remember when I was in my 9-to-5 job and a colleague made a hurtful joke about me in front of others. And instead of addressing it, I kind of laughed it off and smiled with them and pretended it was funny. But I felt terrible inside. And later that night, I realized I really betrayed myself just to keep the peace, just to keep the approval, and wondered how should I have addressed this better, and I hated conflict and I didn't really address this. I realized my inner peace is non-negotiable. I can't laugh at someone's joke if it's hurtful and if it's against me. That's not funny. And from that moment onwards, I was setting my boundaries more and more gradually. The next time I wasn't laughing anymore, I was just having a neutral face expression. The next time something like this happened, I was just, putting the person afterwards by side and saying, hey, you know what? I didn't really appreciate that. That wasn't cool. And this is how I warmed up to the fact that I need to stick up for myself. And you don't have to do this in front of other people. You can do this gradually by simply not laughing about the joke, by simply letting the other people know, hey, you know what, that is not okay. You can set a boundary that is safe for you because you have to warm your nervous system up. By the way, I've created a free library with 25 plus attachment resources, including how to set boundaries, but there's also quizzes like how to check if you have an anxious attachment style, or worksheets and journaling prompts and so much more. For example, he doesn't reply flowchart. If you want to check them out, the free attachment library is in the show notes below or in the YouTube description. 5, I want to put my needs last just to keep the peace. For example, what I won't do anymore is saying I'm fine when I'm actually not. I used to always say when my partner asked me, hey, how are you doing? Or when my parents used to ask me, I always said I'm fine, I'm good, when I was not. Just because I wasn't ready to talk about my feelings, I didn't know how to express them, but it's better to say, hey, I don't want to talk about it right now, or it's difficult to explain it. Better say this rather than I'm fine, when you're actually lying to the person and to yourself. Voicing what I actually wanted and needed to get clarity or help, or receiving help from other people. Why is it so important? Peace at the cost of truth is just a delayed chaos. The secure version of myself speaks even when it's very scary, because I've learned when I hide behind my truth, it's just leading to resentment, and actually my anxiety grows when I don't speak up. And I can again gradually speak up and learn how to do this in a safe way that doesn't overwhelm my nervous system. And 6 is I won't take responsibility for other people's emotions, for their emotional world. For example, if you're ready to join me, say bye to apologizing for their bad day, to making excuses for their emotional immaturity, feeling guilty for setting a boundary, trying to change their mood when they're upset, being okay when there's a little bit of a weird vibe going on. You don't have to change how they're feeling, or walking on eggshells so they don't get upset. Why does this matter? It used to really feel like love to me, but actually that is over-functioning. It made their needs more important than mine when I used to do this. But now, as a secure version of myself, I let other people be responsible for their emotions and for their actions. And that's very hard, because when I talk to clients and they try to do the same, they always think yeah, but I care about my partner. When they have a bad day, I want to help them out. But you can care for your partner and love them and still trying to detach from the need of fixing their mood, of solving problems for them. They're adults, they can take care of their own emotions, but you trying to do it for them, you show them that they're not capable, that they can't handle their own stuff. We do this because if they're not okay, maybe it's a sign that they're going to leave us. Again, it's a fear of abandonment always being in place, because our brain thinks If our partner is moody, if they're stressed, if they're unwell, if they're not happy all the time, maybe they're not happy with us, if everything is good in their mood, in our relationship, then it means we are okay and we are safe. But learning to be okay with ups and downs in the relationship and their mood is creating such a huge change and can make all the difference. Learning to just sit with they're having a bad day, and it doesn't mean anything bad for our relationship or for me. I can let them do their thing. Maybe I can take myself out for a walk to change my environment, just go to a different room and let them be in their own stuff. I can still ask, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? If they don't want your help, let it go. 7, I won't overfunction anymore just to prove I'm worthy staying for. Because every time I overgive, I teach my brain I need to earn love. But when I believe I'm already lovable, I start attracting relationships where that's just the norm, not an exception. Some micro examples may be planning everything, doing the emotional work for both of you, for your partner and for myself, maybe the kids and everyone else around you, you have to be lazy about your partner stuff, not about your things, but let your partner do their bits for themselves. Maybe you always, send 3 follow-ups. Maybe you planned your partner's complete schedule, checked up on his dentist appointments, booked things for him, reminded him of things. Maybe you're over-explaining in arguments. All of these things, let it go. The reason why I stopped is because it will say I will overperform so you don't leave me. So I prove to you that I'm worthy, so you have to stay with me. But this teaches your nervous system love equals hustle, that you have to prove to your partner or even to your friends that you are lovable, that you are good enough, but you don't have to prove it to anyone. Pure love is co-created, not carried. You can just be who you are. 8, I won't let my triggers choose for me. So what I won't do anymore is panic when they pull away, picking fights to get a reassurance or get clingy and get closer and closer to my partner when they actually want space, texting when I feel the urge to fix it and I can't just sit with the discomfort of them not texting me back right now, acting out of jealousy instead of just pausing and asking myself, what does it say about myself? Jumping to conclusions. So why do I not longer do this? The reason is reacting from fear rewires your anxiety as love. It trains your brain that chaos equals connection. And the secure version of myself now pauses. I can reflect on things. And then I act from intention rather than from this impulsive place. And number 9 is I won't chase validation because I chase myself now. Because when I validate myself, I stop begging for breadcrumbs. What you seek from others becomes what you withhold from yourself. But the moment I flipped it, I started receiving it more. So what I won't do anymore is checking if they checked out my stories or if they liked my post, or begging if they could just leave me a comment just to make sure there's someone commented on my social media post and supported my business. Just posting to get a reaction, rereading text over and over again, reading constant compliments just so I can feel better, changing outfits because they made a comment about something I wore. The secure me gives herself what she needs first, and then I can ask for validation as an extra. Then validation from other people just becomes a bonus, not just a lifeline. And 10, I won't make their inconsistency means I'm not good enough. Because I no longer take breadcrumbs as a sign of my value. Their energy is information, not a mirror of my worth. My new belief is I'm worthy of consistency. So that's what I now attract and receive. What I won't do anymore is doubting myself when they pull away. A friend, a colleague, someone I just met, thinking I ruined it by being too much, spiraling after a text delay. The other day I met someone on we exchanged numbers, because I'm living in an area where there are not that many people out there, and she was super lovely. But after the first time we met and we said, let's hang out again, we haven't really got into contact again. I wasn't reaching out to her because I had so much going on. I was sick and all of this stuff, but she hasn't reached out either. So years ago, I would have been so anxious, so insecure, would have overthought our conversation, would have thought she wasn't actually serious by meeting up again and she doesn't want to become friends or anything like this. I would have spiraled, would have been super anxious. But now I know every time something like this happens, I know first of all, it doesn't mean anything. We're both probably two people who are just very busy, and I'm not adding meaning into things where there's nothing to be overanalyzed about. Another example is I won't be feeling anxious when the energy changes, when the mood shifts. I don't need to feel anxious. I don't need to think, did I do something wrong? I don't need to take it personal. It's not about me. And if it does, okay, then we can talk about this. But I don't need to always take everything personal, because their behavior is just data, not a definition of me. The secure version of me trusts her value and doesn't read into mixed signals or overanalyzes things anymore, doesn't get anxious when someone else does something specific. If the anxious version of myself sees a red flag and doesn't try to challenge it to win this red flag. And by the way, you don't need to exit your insecure area in one big leap. You do it in micro moments. Every time you pause, every time you choose yourself, every time you say no when your body says no, every time you say, this version of me doesn't play games anymore, your new reality starts with your new belief. Because what you believe, you receive. And if you believe you're good enough, you will stop settling for anything less. And that is the path to secure love, and I hope you're going to take. That's the path to you. And remember, change in a relationship starts with you, thought by thought, action by action, and now episode by episode. Lots of love, Yula. Bye bye.